Imagine walking into a Rolex store with your money in hand, ready to buy your dream watch, but you left empty-handed. The shelves are glowing with display models, and a small sign reads "Exhibition only." The staff smiles politely and says, "Sorry, we have no watches available for sale right now." It sounds unbelievable. A store that won't sell its own products? Yet, this is the reality many Rolex shoppers face. Why would Rolex, one of the world's most famous watch brands ever, refuse to sell you a watch? The answer lies in a genius strategy built on exclusivity, high demand, and a mystery behind the scenes that we will uncover in this video. So if you like these kind of videos, don't do it now, but watch till the end, and then if you actually enjoyed it, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, you won't want to miss this. The brand Rolex has become a symbol of success and status. Everyone from regular business people to celebrities to everyday watch lovers dream of owning a Rolex. But actually buying a brand new Rolex is far from easy. And if we go back in time, Rolex isn't just a watch, it's a statement for decades. The brand has represented prestige, precision, and success. Wearing a Rolex is like wearing a crown on your wrist. It tells the world that you've made it. This reputation means demand for Rolex watches is astronomically high. People all over the globe want to own one, and many are willing to wait in line or pay extra to get it. Yet, if you step into an authorized Rolex dealer today, you might find the display cases surprisingly empty or filled only with watches that are for display only and not for sale. Popular models like the Submariner, the Daytona, or the GMT Master 2 are hardly ever available for immediate purchase. More often than not, these coveted models are either hidden in the back for special clients or only present as non-functional showpieces, and it almost feels as if Rolex is teasing you. You can look, but you can't buy. But this mythical scarcity didn't happen by accident. Rolex tightly controls how many watches are released and who gets them. The result is an aura of exclusivity. If you manage to buy a Rolex at retail, it feels like a special achievement. And as frustrating as it is for eager buyers, this scarcity is actually by design. It's part of Rolex's plan to keep the brand prestigious and desirable. In the luxury world, sometimes less availability equals more hype. After all, we often want what we can't have. Rolex understands its human psychology very, very well, and that's why they are successful at it. One key reason you can't just walk in and buy that shiny new Rolex is simple. Demand far exceeds supply. Each year, Rolex produces an estimated 1 million watches. That sounds like a lot. 1 million is a huge number of watches, but those million Rolexes have to satisfy the entire world's demand. And guess what? They do not satisfy it. In fact, basically every Rolex watch that gets produced each year is already spoken for and sold. There are far more people wanting Rolex watches than there are watches to go around. Unlike many mass market products, Rolex doesn't flood the market with inventory. They carefully restrict the availability of their watches. Even if more people want to buy a certain model, Rolex will not drastically boost production to match the craze overnight. But why? Because Rolex is extremely cautious about maintaining quality and exclusivity. The company has 4 major production sites in Switzerland where all Rolex watches are handmade with great care. Rolex insists that it will not rush production or cut corners just to make more watches quickly. In a rare public statement addressing the shortage, Rolex said, "Our current production cannot meet the existing demand, not without reducing the quality of our watches, something we refuse to do." In other words, they would rather have a shortage than make a subpar product. Rolex executives actually aim for a perfect balance. Ideally, they'd like to produce slightly fewer watches than the market demands. One industry saying is a CEO's dream is to produce exactly one less watch each year than there is demand for. This might sound odd, but it makes sense. A little bit of shortage keeps the product hot and avoids any surplus. If a luxury brand makes too many items and they sit unsold, it can hurt the brand's image. In fact, a few years ago, some big watch companies had to buy back unsold watches from dealers because they overproduced. Rolex never wants to be in that situation. They are very careful to avoid oversupply. Even in tough economic times, Rolex would rather scale back production a bit than flood stores. But in order to understand why Rolex refuses to sell you a watch, we have to peek behind the curtain at how Rolex is sold. Rolex does not sell new watches directly online or in company-owned boutiques. Instead, they rely on authorized dealers. These are independent jewelry and watch stores that have a contract to sell Rolex. Rolex tightly controls which stores get to be ADs and how many watches they receive. And here's a crucial point: Rolex does not have any official universal waitlist for customers. Unlike ordering a new car where you might sign up on a company's list, with Rolex, each dealer handles customer requests in its own way. This means the power of who gets a watch is largely in the hands of the dealers, and you, the customer, are at their mercy. Authorized dealers get a limited allocation of Rolex watches periodically, and often they won't even know exactly what models or how many they'll get in a shipment. The hottest models like the GMT or Daytona are in such high demand that dealers almost never put them in the display cases for sale to just anyone. Instead, dealers maintain lists of interested clients, or they already have certain top clients in mind for those pieces. If you're a newcomer walking in off the street asking for a popular Rolex, chances are the dealer will politely tell you there's a waiting list or no availability at all. Meanwhile, someone who has been a loyal customer might get a phone call that their desired model has arrived. It might not seem fair, but from the dealer's perspective, they must choose carefully who gets these scarce watches. They often prioritize VIP clients and longtime collectors. For example, if you've bought jewelry or other watches from that store regularly, or if you've been friendly with the salespeople, you have a better chance. Building a relationship is essential if you want to buy a Rolex at retail. In extreme cases, there have been reports that certain authorized dealers engage in shady practices. For instance, an AD might directly sell a hot model to a gray market reseller at a higher price instead of to a regular customer. This is of course against Rolex's rules, but it's hard to police. If a dealer knows they can quietly hand a Daytona to a reseller for an extra profit, they might be tempted. But even reputable dealers with strict ethics will have to make tough calls about who gets the few pieces they receive. The bottom line is, walking into a store with money isn't enough. You need to be on the list, whether formal or informal, to actually purchase that dream Rolex. And recently, if you have visited a Rolex boutique, you may have seen the displays filled with gorgeous Rolex models. From shiny gold day-dates to sporty Submariners, all with tags that say exhibition only. This policy started around 2021 as a way for Rolex to improve the shopping experience without actually increasing sales stock. These exhibition pieces are real watches that you can try on, but you absolutely cannot buy them on the spot. They exist so customers at least get to see and feel the models they are interested in, rather than staring at empty cases. Rolex recognized that constantly empty displays were disappointing, so now there are dummy models for show. This strategy of exhibition only is another way Rolex maintains control. It ensures that even the display of the brand in stores stays consistent. You see the watches, you desire them, but you must wait. It keeps the dream alive without immediately satisfying it. If this feels like psychological play, it certainly is. It reinforces the idea that a Rolex is special and not readily available. You have to earn it, whether through patience, persistence, or if you get lucky. Now, if Rolex itself refuses to directly sell you a watch, you might think, well, I'll just buy a Rolex from someone else. Indeed, there is a whole secondary industry ready to sell you that hard to get watch, but at a hefty price. This is known as the gray market, not black market, because these watches are authentic and legal, but sold outside the official dealer network. Gray market dealers and resellers get Rolex watches through various channels. Sometimes they buy from those VIP customers who did get a watch and immediately want to flip it for profit, or sometimes, as we mentioned, from authorized dealers on the side. The result is that a popular model, say stainless steel Daytona, whose retail price is around $14,000, might be listed for twice that amount or more on the secondary market. There are entire businesses and websites dedicated to selling unworn Rolex at marked up prices. But the thing is, this gray market is actually a side effect of Rolex's strategy. By keeping supply tight and not raising retail prices to match the frenzy, they leave money on the table, which the resellers pick up. From Rolex's perspective, they don't mind if flippers and gray dealers make money. As long as the brand image remains strong, that's all that matters. But let's get to the sales process and psychology of why you can't have a Rolex. There's a saying, people want what they can't have. Rolex has masterfully turned this aspect of human psychology into a marketing advantage. The harder it is to obtain a Rolex, the more desirable it becomes. We see this dynamic not only with watches, but with many products. From limited edition sneakers that sell out in minutes, to luxury handbags that require you to have purchase history to even be offered one. In economics, this is related to the concept of scarcity driving value. In psychology, it's sometimes called the scarcity principle, where people place a higher value on an object that is scarce and a lower value on those that are abundant. Rolex leverages this principle in a very controlled way. They don't actually advertise limited edition or explicitly say only X number made. But by keeping distribution tight, they create a felt scarcity. Consumers have learned that if you don't grab that Rolex when you have the chance, you might not see it again for a long time. This leads to frenzied behavior. As soon as a desirable model is available, there's a rush of buyers, and the perpetual waitlist create a sense of competition among buyers, which further fans the flames of desire. It even adds to the social status of owning a Rolex. If you manage to get one, it subtly implies you have connections, patience, or luck, and that makes the watch even more of a conversation piece. Another psychological angle is FOMO, fear of missing out. When everyone talks about how hard it is to get a Rolex and how they keep their value, people who might be on the fence about buying one could feel an urge to jump in, unless they miss their chance. The constant online discussions, YouTube videos, and articles about Rolex shortages effectively serve as advertising for Rolex, reminding people that these watches are hot commodities. Rolex spends a lot on traditional advertising and sponsorships, but this kind of word of mouth hype is something money can't directly buy. It has to come from the product's reputation and the market dynamics. By staying scarce, Rolex stays talked about. It's the no such thing as bad publicity concept. Even complaints about not being able to get a Rolex keep the brand in the spotlight. So if you're set on buying a new Rolex at retail, be prepared for a long journey. Do your research, visit your authorized dealer, start building that relationship, and have patience. Let them know what you're looking for, be genuine, maybe consider starting with a less in-demand model to get your foot in the door, and then wait. It could be months, years, or sometimes maybe never. Luck and persistence will play a part. Or if you don't want to wait, save up your money and go to the secondary market, accepting the premium as the cost of instant gratification. Neither path is wrong, it all depends on what the Rolex experience means to you. One thing is certain is that Rolex is very smart on how they did this. And like I said in the beginning of the video, if you enjoyed and stayed till the end, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, as it means a lot, as well as YouTube really thinks you're gonna like the video that's gonna pop up, so trust me, click on it, you won't regret it. Thank you for watching and have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.